Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. My name is Brandon Drumm. I'm here with Parker Thune. Spencer Forsythe is on the board. And I think the Oklahoma Athletics, the Oklahoma softball program, just racked up another national title. The dynasty that never ends down there in Norman with Patty Gasso and her crew, 53 straight wins, the greatest season in softball history, capped off by a 3-1 win in a just dominant performance on Wednesday night as well by the Oklahoma softball program. And it is, you got to give them their flowers, Parker. They are unbelievable. It was almost as if when they went up 1-0, Florida State, you knew that wasn't going to last long. Like, you just knew they were going to do what they needed to do to get ahead and win the ball game. That's because that's what they've done all year.
Well, and it speaks to their resilience to go down 1-0 on that home run from Mac Leonard. And then the first two hitters that see pitches from Catherine Sandercock after surrendering that deficit hit home runs.
Mm-hmm.
You got Sydney Sanders going yard to the opposite field. You got Grace Lyons, the senior, the captain, yanking one in the left field seats to give you a 2-1 lead. And obviously, once Jordy Ball took the circle, you knew that lead was safe and wasn't going anywhere. By the way, shout out to a fellow 402 representative in Jordy Ball. We love to see it. But she was on top of her game the entirety of this Women's College World Series. Oklahoma was on top of its game pretty much all year, and this is an opportune time at which to remind all of you that if you want to be on top of your game, but also enjoy a little bit of luxury in your diet, try an Ollipop, the new title sponsor of OU Insider Live
Ding.
and the OU Insider Under the Visor podcast.
Oh, I need to put that in the opening. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. If you drink soda, it's killing your body. It's terrible for you. But as we all know, it's delicious, which makes it hard to get off. Guess what? You don't have to make decisions between enjoying a tasty, fizzy beverage and feeling good about yourself while doing so, because Ollipop has entered the mix. It is sweetened with a proprietary blend of natural sweeteners, never has more than 5 grams of sugar in one of these cans, always has 9 grams of fiber, offers digestive health support, and tastes delicious. It does not have that weird artificial aftertaste like sodas made with aspartame or erythritol or stevia, or pick an artificial sweetener of choice. Everything in this can is natural. It is delicious. Tastes just like your traditional soda. They've got a flavor for you. Check them out at drinkollipop.com. And in celebration of the Sooners Women's College World Series victory, you can use promo code CHAMPU20 for 20% off your first online order with Ollipop, or go find them in your local Walmart, Target, Sprouts, or Whole Foods. On to Sooner Sports we go.
Wait, no, hold on. I want to redo this real quick. Welcome to the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, brought to you by Ollipop. With my man, Parker Thune. There you go. There we go. I'm gonna get it down. I'm gonna get that thing down eventually. All right. By the way, CVM, I have Ollipop in the fridge. Root beer is pretty good, so we'll go with that. All right. I think we need to talk OU softball. I'm pretty positive that is the lead. We will not bury it. And we started off the intro talking about it. Jordy Ball, Miss Nebraska. Is it Papillonium, Nebraska, or how do you pronounce it?
Papillion. Holly kind of butchered it on the broadcast.
Yeah, she butchered it bad. That made me question on how to pronounce it. I was like, have I been pronouncing that wrong the whole time? All right. So thank you, Holly Rowe. And Holly Rowe is one of the best to do it, but she butchered that bad. Yeah, Jordy Ball might be one of the best pitchers. I mean, Patty Gasso said it in the postgame interview. She's the best pitcher she's ever seen. And that you have to, you look back at that, you get Paige Parker, you had obviously Kalani Ricketts, she's had a gaggle of just unbelievable pitchers throughout her career. And to say Jordy Ball as a sophomore is the best she's ever coached as a pitcher, holy crap! But you see it on the field as a freshman, she was utterly dominant. That they used
24
her to close the series out last season, and to
24
do it.
and 2/3 innings pitched at the Women's College World Series this year, Brandon. 0 runs allowed of any kind, earned or unearned.
By the way, last week I gave the over under on 12 runs, and you took the over that Oklahoma would give up more than 12, and I took the under, and I got it by a long shot. Thank you, Jordy Ball. and you have to give it up to Jada Coleman for bagging 4 runs with that catch. That was unbelievable. We were debating in our house which one was better, the Florida State catch that we saw live when we were at the game last night by was it Mage? I can't remember her last name. But which one was better? You're muted.
Why am I muted?
I don't know, man.
Jada's was better.
I thought so too, because she hung up in the air a lot longer. And like she had to like go and get it and not just reach right over the wall.
It was such an athletic play. Very, very similar to the one she made a year ago in the championship series against Texas. By the way, definitely some deja vu there.
Yeah, no doubt. If I remember correctly, Grace Lyons was part of the back-to-back home runs last year during the title game as well. Was she not? I swear because I know she hit a home run last year.
I think you're right.
Because she hit it right in front of me. Like the ball landed like 2 rows in front of me last year. And so I can remember her. I know she hit a home run, but I can't remember if it was part of a back-to-back because I'm pretty positive it was. I'm pretty positive it was Kinsey Hansen, then her last year. I'm almost positive.
And I
if
think
anybody can remember,
I believe you're correct.
Please tell us whether we're correct or not. Anyways, let's go to Mongo real quick. We given it up to the girls. They won their 3rd straight national title. We cover softball extensively on OU Insider. Jess Crittenden does a great job. So we have more coverage coming for you guys on OUinsider.com. What a run. What a run. Before we get into the super chat from Mongo, how many games in a row do they win before they lose? If you had to guess, over, under, I'm going to set it at 65. Do you take the over or under?
Return
I'll take the everybody under next year. Yeah, because I think Patty probably wants them to lose to get that off their plate.
Man, it does kind of, the national title feels
kept talking about the pressure.
It does. But on the other hand, you're like, dang, what was in the water that one Sunday afternoon in Waco? Because this team was so close to being perfect.
I know.
Not just national champions, but perfect. 61-0 or whatever it would be.
It would be 61-0,
62-0.
62-0. They were 61-1. Yep. Crazy. All right, Mongo. We're going to get to your super chat now, and which is going to push us right back into the football recruiting / transfer portal / everything else, which is what a lot of people want to talk about no matter what's going on in the world. It's all football. If you're a University of Oklahoma fan, which is okay with us, but we love our softball girls too because they're amazing. Mongo said, I was happy to see Dejon Terry is in fact a fan of Covered Wagons. Who do you think will be the next enthusiast? Shout out to Ricardo Roblanc as always. What's up, Ricardo? We know you are listening. First off, everybody wants to say I wish Oklahoma would get that surprise commit. I wish they'd get that big time surprise commit. Dudes and dudettes, you got it with Dejon Terry. Because that one was not looking prosperous. He came in on a visit. His mom is battling cancer. He was wanting to get closer to home. There was a lot of in-state talk. There was a lot of closer SEC talk, LSU, all those type of teams being just kind of reverberated throughout his recruitment over and over and over. But he gave Oklahoma a shot. Todd Bates, whose father just passed away from cancer, and I talked to some people around Norman. They said it was God, Parker, and they said it was just a connection that was just undeniable when they started discussing their feelings on things and stuff like that. And it just meshed and flowed to where he didn't want to leave Norman. And Mom was 100% behind it. Basically, that Sooner staff won over the whole family, won over Dejon, and the rest is history. But that is your surprise. That's a huge surprise. You're talking about everybody in the country wanted Dejon Terry. He wasn't just your run-of-the-mill defense. He was that defensive tackle that gets in the portal that it doesn't happen but once or twice, maybe 3 times every season, right, Parker? Like, there aren't many of them. Everybody else is just kind of like, oh, they're going to be fillers here or there. No, this cat is supposed to be able to be a baller. So that is your surprise, number one, and that's a great surprise for you guys. As far as the next commitment, Parker, I think it's got to be from this weekend. I mean, I
get that sense too, Brandon. I do, and you know, it's. I don't think you or I necessarily have that one guy in mind that'll pop after this weekend, but with 14 official visitors in town, 7 of them being offensive linemen, I think there's a very good chance you come out of this weekend with an offensive line commit simply because of how many guys are going to be on the same visit together and the fact that Oklahoma can say, hey, look at how many other guys are interested in OU. Do you want to jump in the boat or you want to get left behind?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I didn't have much more to add to that. I was just going to say Oklahoma can leverage the numbers that they have coming in at offensive line to be able to press some of these guys for commitments on the official visit.
So, an interesting little deal that's happening this weekend that it hasn't really been talked about, and I know you might have more on this later on OU Insider. So I'm just going to throw this out here. So Kevin Sperry's he will be by the time the camp season is done, he will have attended every OU camp that there is. Him and his brother Rozzy. Okay, that's buy-in. Number one. Number two is that he and his family will be back this weekend to recruit Isaiah Mosey. So I guess my point is that Isaiah Mosey's been on a bunch of visits. And I'm not saying he's going to commit. You would know more than me, whatever. But Oklahoma, as far as wide receivers go in 2025, they have a gaggle of dudes that are trying to commit as fast as possible. And I'm not going to name another. I've got another name I'm going to talk about that will be in town next week. That will probably pop the second he gets in town. And no, it is not Adrian Wilson. I'll have more on that actually tomorrow as well on OU Insider. I'm going to leave that very vague because I want our members to get that first. But there's a lot of moving parts here, and Parker can tell you that and confirm that there's a ton of moving parts with 2025 wide receivers because Andrew Marsh was in town again, and I've got more coming on him. Emmett is literally he's having to bat dudes away right now because everybody that's caught the ball, ran routes for, has been around Kevin Sperry, has become enamored with the University of Oklahoma because that dude is unbelievable. I will be shocked by the time he graduates if he is not a 5-star, Parker. Shocked.
He's very gifted.
Let's put it this way. In Austin, this is what I tell you guys, you fans that are listening here. At the Elite 11 in Austin, I was told not only would he have not gotten an invite, he may have been co-MVPs with one Michael Hawkins at the regional. That's how good both of those dudes were there. And one of the guys that he said, the unfortunate, literally, they said, well, Kevin Sperry has to go. And they said, well, he's a junior. He can't. And they didn't know that. They just thought that he was a stud that was just out there just throwing ropes and dimes that whole day. And lo and behold, both the dudes that were the best quarterbacks at that event, and it wasn't close, I was told, was Michael Hawkins, Kevin Sperry, and it wasn't close. Everybody else, it was just, they were just there. And so, yeah, Jeff Lebby has himself some dudes coming in, and he may not be done in 2024 when it comes to quarterback. Because there's one, Samaj Jones from Philadelphia coming in. And Oklahoma seems to be sitting in a good spot there. They can hold off West Virginia and Cincinnati, which sounds weird to say, hold off those two, but you have to think about where he's from. And Penn State's kind of just like hovering there. If you can hold off those three, you land him.
Yeah. Well,
and that's going to be interesting.
For those that live in the central time zone, you also might not have much of an understanding as to how close the University of West Virginia is to where Samaj Jones plays his high school football. As you know, Brandon, when we fly in to cover games in Morgantown, we fly into Pittsburgh and just drive across the Pennsylvania border. So Morgantown is, for all intents and purposes, in Pennsylvania, very, very close to the border.
Yes.
So there is the hometown pull, not just for Penn State, but for West Virginia as well. In the end, though, you got one quarterback. If you get two, that's a luxury. Second one isn't necessarily a necessity, but it is a luxury, and Samaj Jones would be a valuable addition to the room for Oklahoma. Blake Wilson wants to know, so is OU in a good and the best spot with Devon Mitchell, 5-star tight end? Also, how big are those transfer defensive linemen? Well, to start with those transfer defensive linemen, oh gosh, we're already up to 2 webcam outages on the evening.
Dude, I'm setting the line at, I've been like your regular boogie hero on our YouTube live, or Ollipop YouTube live, mind you.
There you go.
I'm going to set it at 5 today because you're on a roll already. I'm going to take the over.
Okay, so
it already froze again. That's 3.
Oh my goodness. We're on the wrong kind of roll here, folks. We are on the wrong kind of roll.
Oh gosh. This is
okay.
Great.
On those transfer defensive linemen, here's what you got to keep in mind, and I wrote about this earlier in the week on OU Insider. With Dejon Terry and Philip Paya, I'm of the opinion that those guys don't solve all the problems you have at defensive tackle, but I don't think they need to, because as long as they can provide support and as long as they can provide a push on 3rd and short and 4th and short, well, that's going to take you quite a ways when you think about how close Oklahoma was to getting off the field time and again last year, and continued to surrender those 3rd and short, 3rd and medium conversions. And later on in the season, you saw it when teams figured out that Oklahoma could not stop them from moving the chains in those situations. They went for it on 4th down at will and converted at will. So if you can get the push up front, if you can just have those 2 guys moving bodies on 3rd and 4th down, that's going to be a huge lift for this team. So you really only need them to contribute situationally to be able to feel good about what they add to the roster and what they add to that room. Now, on Devon Mitchell, commitment is obviously set for July 8th. There's one thing you're tentative about, and Oklahoma is in the best spot right now, by far, without question.
Alabama.
There's that. No, not Alabama. That Miami visit. And in talking to a couple people close to the situation, it seems that they're more worried about Miami than Alabama with Devon Mitchell, because got to think about the money factor. And that's going to be his final visit before he makes that commitment. He's taken a 3-day unofficial to Miami starting on June 21st. That will be on the heels of camping at Oklahoma on June 15th and staying for the Champ U barbecue weekend, being part of the festivities as if he were an official visitor, even though he can't because he technically hasn't reclassified yet. But barring an astronomical sum of money thrown at him by John Ruiz and Life Wallet, I really do think Oklahoma is going to end up with Devon Mitchell's commitment, because there is a very strong pull to Oklahoma for numerous reasons. One of them being the opportunity to play with his high school quarterback, Michael Hawkins. So I have felt good about Oklahoma here. I've continued to feel good about Oklahoma here. Don't take it to the bank until the other side of that Miami visit, but feel very strongly that you're likely to have Devon Mitchell in that class at tight end.
Okay. So on that, and I think what people are going to ask now, and I'm just going to ask for them. Does that visit take place, 100% take place on after the Champion Barbecue at Oklahoma? And you threw out Johnny Ruiz and Life Wallet and all that crap with their NIL. Does Oklahoma play that game as well? Because I can't see there's a world that Devon Mitchell leaves Oklahoma empty-handed as far as NIL goes, as far as his recruitment goes with Oklahoma. I just can't see that happening. So I'm asking you your thoughts.
What you have to consider when it comes to NIL money is that when such an offer is on the table, it's not always just about the kid. It's about the people around him. And I've gotten to know some of the people in Devon Mitchell's circle, and they don't seem like the type of, his circle doesn't seem like the type of circle that's going to push him wherever the money is. There are certain influences and relatives of kids who will just say, hey, you go wherever the money goes, right? We've seen this play out time and again over the last couple of cycles. Mm-hmm. Devon Mitchell's people are not that kind of people, but it's one thing to say that when the numbers being thrown around are relatively modest, but let's just say John Ruiz decides, okay, Devon Mitchell's a guy we have to have. We're going to throw $1 million at him. If you got $1 million sitting in front of you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's yeah, kind of,
so again,
extenuating circumstance, but that seems like it would not, there's no tight end in this world worth that money except for in the NFL.
I mean, yes, that is true. But Miami also has FU money
or
to a certain
Brock
extent.
Bowers, to be honest.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying it's going to take a pretty astronomical sum of money to be able to coax Devon Mitchell away from OU. That's why I feel good about the situation. That's why I'm not really super apprehensive about that Miami visit. Again, you're not 100% taking this thing to the bank, but you are feeling really good about it right now if you're an OU fan.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's another super chat over here by Blake Wilson. Also, maybe he had another one. Okay. Oh, so this was just on the heels of what he asked originally. Also, I just want defensive tackle. I guess he wants a defensive tackle in this recruiting class. That's all I really want to build this defensive line. I'm assuming that's what he was trying to say. I think that's what all Oklahoma fans, I was arguing with Oklahoma fans, like, look, if you're on OU Insider and there's like this group of people that just constantly are wetting their bed. Just, they haven't even hosted official visits yet, Parker. And it's like, the world has ended. They're not going to land anybody. There's crystal ball, I guess. Who always put crystal balls in for Taylor Tatum to USC? Is it just Schrader?
Yes.
Okay. So push that aside. You've got one guy that's done that. And the kid has taken one visit. And if you're on OU Insider, you've seen the talk of, what I've said, like, look, Caden Durham, I'm going to tell you all now, like, OU Insiders knowing this stuff, you will know on OU Insider, because we don't always tell this stuff live, but I'm giving you all a little piece, a nugget. Caden Durham is coming in on the 14th and staying all the way to the 18th. He's coming in on the 14th, unofficial visiting, hanging out, doing all that type of stuff. From my understanding, David Stone will be around and not that type of stuff. There's talk of David Stone camping on the 15th at Oklahoma. It's not in stone, pun intended. But King Durham is camping at Oklahoma as of right now. So he'll be the 14th, 15th camp, leave the campus, come back on campus, take his official visit 16th, 17th, and 18th for the Champion Barbecue weekend, and then finally leave. So that will be 5 days that kid will be on campus. 5. And from the sounds of it, there's a chance that Oklahoma's doing the same with David Stone. So that is why I'm sitting here telling you guys, like, stop going crazy with your emotions every time you see something happen. Just let this stuff play out. I understand if David Stone doesn't commit or sign with Oklahoma come National Signing Day, riot. You all can riot, and we'll be like, not like riot. Come on, Parker. Like, you know what I meant. On the board. Go crazy on the board, because that's what they're going to do anyways, and we'll let it happen. Just go crazy on the message board. We'll let it happen. Like, okay, let your emotions go. Be pissed off, because you deserve to be pissed off. It's a hometown kid shunning the University of Oklahoma once again. But I've talked to some people, and Oklahoma is definitely willing, Parker, to play that NIL game with that kid, because they understand. They understand how important he is to the class, and they also understand that there's not very many defensive tackles come out of the state of Oklahoma like him. I think you could probably go up I-44 in the Turner Turnpike and see one Danny Okoye and kind of get a sense that there's similar stuff going on there. Like, Oklahoma is going to do all they can and more to try to make sure Okoye is in that class. And I would sit there and tell you that with the guy that's on campus, and I'll let Parker dive more into this, Williams Nwaneri, I think from what I've heard is Oklahoma is going to do everything they can to try to make that work in their favor as well. Like, everything they can. Do you have any more to add to that?
How many defensive visitors does OU have coming in total this weekend? Just think about that for a second. 3 cornerbacks, Kobe Black, Marcellus Williams, Eli Bowen. Anyone else at any other positions, Brandon? It's literally just Will Nwaneri.
Kobe Black. Yo, you talking about just defensive line?
Well, no, I'm talking about on the defensive side in particular. Obviously, Jay Valai has 3 visitors, but the only other official visitor this weekend on the defensive side of the ball,
Braden Platt,
is Will Nwaneri. Braden Platt. I forgot. Late edition.
Yeah,
late edition.
Oh, that was on OU Insider. Like, we've had that on there for a bit too.
So the point is, what I'm getting at is Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis have both been heavily involved in the Will Nwaneri recruitment.
Yep.
Chavis has run point, but Bates has been a constant presence there as well. Neither of those guys have any other visitors this weekend. They are solely focused on Will Nwaneri. And when you're talking about the guy that is regarded by most in the industry as the best defensive end, and by some as the best overall player in the entire country, it makes sense. And if you're Oklahoma, I think what you're trying to do, and maybe you don't accomplish it all this weekend, but what you're trying to do down the stretch here, if you're in OU shoes, is prevent him from taking that official to Oregon on September 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like you can weather the storm with Tennessee. Tennessee comes up next weekend, the 16th of June. That's when he'll head there for an official visit. Feels like with the relationships and proximity working in their favor, Oregon can go toe-to-toe with Tennessee and win that battle in the long run. But things change if he doesn't go anywhere for 3 months, then shows up to Oregon on the 23rd of September for what has the opportunity to potentially be a primetime game against Colorado. Experiences, Autzen Stadium. Maybe you get the NIL pitch, the whole Nike U thing wrapped into it. And that's where things have the opportunity to turn sideways at the last second. Oregon, if nothing else, is very good at making late charges for recruits. Oklahoma has been victimized several times by this in the past. Think about Aaron Flowers. Now, obviously, USC was kind of in the mix as well. And USC was really the school that overtook Oklahoma at first. But then you had Oregon swoop in and get a guy that for the longest time looked like a safe bet to be in Oklahoma's class. So that Oregon visit, if it happens on September 23rd, leaves you feeling uneasy. If you can convince him to accelerate the decision and commit before taking that Oregon visit one way or another, then what you do, Brandon, is you effectively eliminate one top contender from the race. Because if he doesn't bother taking the official visit to Oregon, then you're pretty much just going head-to-head with Tennessee. I don't buy the Texas A&M stuff for a lot of reasons, and we've been over that. I know he had some nice things to say about Texas A&M. To me, this is a 3-team race right now. Oklahoma, Tennessee, Oregon. Mizzou's staff is walking on very, very thin ice. Mizzou had a solid footing in that recruitment for quite a while. That has kind of faded. So those are the 3 teams right now for Nwaneri that are squarely in the mix. OU, Oregon, Tennessee. If you can whittle this thing down to an OU-Tennessee battle, and you can leverage those relationships, and you can convince him that he's better off playing 5 hours away from home than 10, and he's better off being developed for the NFL under the direction of Chavis and Todd Bates and Brent Venables than the Tennessee staff, then, and I'm in the dark.
Yeah, that's 4.
What was the over-under? 4.5?
It was 5.
We're getting close.
We're almost at a push.
Okay. So, but yeah, if you can narrow this thing down to an OU Tennessee battle, I think you actually feel pretty good about that, because Oklahoma's source of confidence all throughout this process has been that they have the best relationships with the kid. And Will himself will acknowledge that. The relationships are the strongest at OU.
Yeah. So, okay. Is there a world that he takes the Oklahoma official and just shuts it down because he commits? Is there a world where that's possible?
Oh man, wouldn't that be ideal?
That's what Oklahoma's hoping happens. That's what they're trying to close this thing out right now. Similar to PJ.
Based on how close he was to committing his last time at Oklahoma at the beginning of March, I would say it is not completely far-fetched to think that could occur. Would I bank on it? No.
Well, no. I mean,
but man, like that would assuage a lot of the sting from the Bryant Wesco fiasco.
And it would absolutely make
if Clemson gets the
Davian
kid to shut down.
Make just well, that's kind of where I'm at, Parker. That's okay. So it's similar, right?
Yeah.
To where nobody. So that was on nobody's bingo card that Bryant Wesco was going to shut down his recruitment after visit number 1. Just that wasn't on anybody's bingo card. He had like 7 visits lined up, and he shut them all down. Oh, we're at a push. Here we go. B Drum's going to make him some money today. But yeah, no, I just
some nights the demons of technology rear their ugly heads all at once.
It's all good. So I don't know, man. Do you ever have like where you have the gut feeling on things? And I'm not saying I have a gut feeling on that. There's a couple of guys that I have a gut feeling that Oklahoma could surprise. And it's like one of those, like Eli Bowen, like he has an official setup for Texas, and you get like the people talking on, I'm not going to give them and say what platform or who they were on and all this, but I've been sent the video. And it was more or less a guy saying, Yeah, I don't think Peyton Bowen's going to make it through one season at Oklahoma, and Texas fans need to get Eli Bowen as a realistic possibility in their head. And there's just a weird part of me that just, I don't know. Like, I just think that's a weird thing to say when Peyton Bowen's out there helping run the kids camp, having a great time, and you have people saying around the program that he may end up being the best safety to ever come through there ever. And that's like Ricky Dixon, like JT Thatcher. Like, you're talking like there's a host of really good safeties that have played at the University of Oklahoma, right? Roy Williams is the best to ever do it at Oklahoma. And that's some heady stuff to say. And that kid's just all of a sudden not going to finish his season out at Oklahoma. Like, come on, man. Like, I thought that was weird in my talk about technology. Battery died on my light. So I just thought that was weird that was being said on a certain platform. I know that, and I was talking to a couple of people like Peyton and a couple other guys. I guess Eli wants to golf on his official visit. So I know several of the staffers are going to take him golfing this weekend. So a little background on who Eli
That's
Bowen
really
is as a
smart.
person.
Play
Yeah.
some free golf on your official visit.
Yeah. Especially at Jimmy Austin. Why not, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Nice golf
Eli
course.
Bowen, that's a man that knows what he's looking for.
Yeah, I just, again, Oklahoma has like a quiet confidence with Marcellus Williams too. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But the kid keeps showing up, so at some point I'm gonna have to be a believer, I guess, because this is what his third or fourth visit to Oklahoma. Like 3 of them on his own dime, and now he's all of a sudden here on an official visit. And it was an official visit that almost didn't happen, and then all of a sudden does happen. And yet you see nobody asking about Kobe Black.
And I think part of the reason is
because nobody thinks Oklahoma has a chance.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, looking at that
And
visit
I might
schedule
agree with that.
the rest of the way, it like you just get a certain vibe from the schedule that Kobe Black has put out that he's just like, he's got an Alabama official set for October 13th. Right. So obviously this one is nowhere close to arriving at the finish line. And the fact that the official visit is number 1 for him, number 1 of potentially 6 to 8 OVs, does not leave you feeling too optimistic.
He doesn't strike me as a 6 to 8 OV guy, by the way. I can't see that. I cannot see that happening. Not the personality, not the Kobe Black that I've talked to. He is not that outgoing. I just don't know that I buy that. He's really kept everything pretty close to the vest with his recruitment. So it's you almost feel like he fits Oklahoma personality wise, right? But at the same time, I think Alabama and programs of that ilk also fit him very much of the personality, just because those no nonsense programs like Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson's of the world and stuff like that. And that's, I'm not naming everybody on these lists or anything like that. I'm just naming the no nonsense programs, right? Those are the type of programs you can see him fitting in at, because that's the type of personality he has. So if he goes like to Texas or Texas A&M or places that are not generally a no nonsense type of program, to me, it's kind of like square peg round hole, but to each his or her own, right? Like that's what he may feel best and more at home at. So that's why recruiting is always so janky, man. It's weird because of that. Like there's a lot of like Wesco, that did not seem right when that happened. Like people were like, yeah, Clemson. And I just couldn't, until I talked to some people at Oklahoma, and even they were just like, Didn't see that coming.
You know what it
Nobody
kind
saw
of
that coming.
you know what it harkens back to, and not to reopen an old wound, but you know what it kind of reminds me of is the whole Peyton Pierce deal. Because
Yeah, very
we were
similar.
we were there at the rivals camp, and you were standing there when Peyton Pierce said, "Yeah, I called the OU staff to let them know I was going to Ohio State," and they were shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it. You kind of hear echoes of that in the story of how the Bryant Wesco recruitment ultimately came to its conclusion with that weekend at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
I did not. I mean, I was talking to people down at the TCU camp on Sunday, and most everybody, not even anybody with an iron in the fire from the OU or the TCU side, but pretty much everybody down there that knew Wesco, knew his circle, they all said the same thing, which is that kid's going to stay close to home, and OU and TCU are the two schools he likes best. And then, boom, 48 hours later, he's
Mm-hmm.
committed to Clemson.
Oh, yeah, there's TCU people that swore up and down that he was going to TCU. Like they were so confident that that was taking place, and we were like, I don't know, man. Like I never really bought into the TCU stuff just because I thought it was. And I knew that he loved Malcolm Kelly. I knew that David Robinson, his trainer, is super close to Malcolm Kelly and all that type of stuff. But you just never got the sense that that's where that thing was heading in the end. It just didn't feel that way. But it also didn't feel like it was heading to Clemson. So I mean, whatever, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, you
but
lose it.
that tells you how fast official visits change things. And that's why we always tell people, why are you acting out before Oklahoma's hosted zero official visits? Like, do we not remember what happened last year? This is the same thing. Everybody's worried. What is going on? They can't do this. They can't do that. And then what happened in June and July? The floodgates just opened after they got kids on an official visit, right? I'm pretty sure that's going to happen because you can't take unlimited official visits do not start taking place until the season. So if you start seeing kids take official visits during the season, that's when you need to start getting worried, unless they're taking them to Oklahoma. And I think that's going to be really interesting. September through December. Real interesting.
Yeah.
And I think Oklahoma, if they start doing really well, there's going to be some flips in the Sooners' direction. Would you agree with that? Just because
I
of
mean,
the unlimited.
I was interacting with a listener today on the radio that said, I'll bet you Peyton Pierce, Bryant Wesco, or Zadavian Sims ends up in OU's class. And I was asked directly, which of the three is most likely. And I
Peyton
can
Pierce.
imagine Peyton Pierce coming back around to
Mhm.
Oklahoma at some
Yep.
point down the line, especially if OU starts winning football games in the fall. And it's
Jordan Johnson Rebel is another name to watch if Oklahoma starts winning football games. Because he specifically said it. If they win during the season, I will start looking at them a lot harder. If they can
yeah,
show they can play defense and win during the season, he said, I will, because that's where he wanted to go. But
yeah,
he just couldn't get himself to go play for a program that was that down defensively.
yeah. Now, granted, I think there's a decent chance OU's filled up at safety
I
and
agree.
feels
I
great
agree.
about where they stand at safety by that point. But just goes to show that, once the fall rolls around, especially with this new wrinkle that allows prospects to take unlimited official visits after July 1st, there may be guys that take a step back and reevaluate the process, and that may work in OU's favor down the stretch in the fall. So,
Okay. Okay. Before we close this thing out, just because it's 10 o'clock and, we want to, I want to do the over under on how many commits this week after OU's first official visit hosting of the 14 that they have coming in.
set the over under
I'm
at
going to set it at
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah, that feels fair.
What do you got? Over under.
I'll go under. I'll say they get one.
I agree. I think it's one. No, don't get me wrong. I won't be shocked if 2 happens or 3. Like I think 3 would be the max, but um, totally could see between 1 and 3 taking place. But I'll take the under, just
What if you
because
filled up your whole offensive line room by this time next week?
Oh my God, would that not be the
What if
funniest
you
thing in
got
the
Bennett
world?
Warren and Caden Massey coming in for officials next weekend and there aren't spots for them? Wouldn't that be a dream? Now, it is not going to happen, but
Okay. Here, how about this? In the next 14 days, I'm going to set the over under at 4.5, 5. No, I'm going to go 5.5, 5.5.
okay.
And then next, I'll say this: by June 23rd, I'm going to set it at 5.5. Do you take the over or under?
I'm still taking the under.
At
Still taking
five
the
and a
under.
half.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see
How
him
much?
getting
How much under? How much under the line?
I could see him getting 3, 4, even 5, but
That's where I'm at.
I
That's
also
where I'm
think
at. Yeah.
there will be guys taking official visits through the weekend of June 23rd, and they're going to need some time to ruminate on the decision. And so I think you can expect a lot of these decisions for major OU targets to come at the beginning of July. And we saw this a year ago, very similar timetable, right? Very similar timetable.
July 1 through 15. It was
First half of July,
high.
I want to say the Sooners had 7 commits a year ago. I can foresee similar circumstances this time around.
Okay. So you brought that up. So between June 1 and July 21st, I'm going to set the over under at 10.5. Do you take the over? Remember, they got like 15 in like a month and a half last year.
I'll take the over. Yes.
I agree.
Yes, I will take the over.
I agree. I think they'll be almost done. I think they'll be waiting on David Stone the first week of August because that's when I expect him to announce. And they'll be waiting on who else is August guy off the top of your head? I know there's somebody. Say what?
What are you asking now?
August commit. Who has their date set for the early August? David Stone, obviously. He's like the first 8 or 9 days of August. I can't remember.
I mean, obviously it's kind of swung in Georgia's favor, but Joseph Jonah-Ajonye has said he's committing August 1st.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that real quick before we go. Just because that's been such a hot topic. Obviously, I think our On3 guy covers Oklahoma, put in a pick for Georgia. And granted, I think if we were to flip our picks right now, we would go to Georgia, obviously. Yeah. I think that's what it is. And I want people to understand, like, we're not flipping our picks right now just because that kid almost committed to Oklahoma twice in the spring.
Yeah.
So I don't want to flip it and then have to potentially flip it back. If I'm going to flip it, I'm going to flip it.
Snap.
Yeah, I'm going to flip it and just leave it.
Yeah.
And ride with it. Okay. But yeah, I think Georgia leads. I think Parker would agree. Georgia leads. I think they're in a really good spot. And if the kid was picked today, he's going to Georgia. Obviously, we put in picks for Oklahoma when we moved over to Rivals. And it was because, and I talked to somebody today that said, if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said that kid's going to Oklahoma. And this person would know. And so it's crazy how everything's kind of turned with Joseph Jonah-Ajonye. But we've also seen the dream school thing not work in programs' favors before. More often with Oklahoma, it's happened quite a bit where they dream of playing at Oklahoma and then all of a sudden they go somewhere else. Okay. So to me, That's why, because Oklahoma does such a good job on that Champion Barbecue weekend every year, even with under Riley. They did such an amazing job that it's really hard to sit here and say definitively that Oklahoma has zero chance there.
No, they've got a chance. They
Yeah.
absolutely have a chance. Well, all they have to do is remind Joseph Jonah-Ajonye of all the reasons he fell in love with OU in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
and hammer home the proximity to Conroe, Texas, where he's from,
Right.
because that's a drivable distance. Conroe to Athens, different ballgame there.
So I guess the other deal is Nigel Smith.
Not drinking the Buckeye Kool-Aid yet.
Yeah, me neither. You can, that's literally, I mean, he has other official visits left to go. So, I mean, that's where I'm at. Like, let him play out. Like, I get it. You're going to ride these post visit highs, but that's why Oklahoma picked the June 16th through the 18th for their Champion Barbecue, because the official visits started Memorial Weekend. By the time they get to Oklahoma, they will have been on 3 visits. Some of them, almost all of them, at least 2. And when you get to that 3rd visit, you start to kind of get tired of the same rehashing over and over and over and over and over. And Oklahoma prides themselves on being different. I'm going to have a big deal. I'm going to have a write up on how Oklahoma is going to attack the Champion Barbecue next week. And it's going to be pretty cool. Everything that they're doing is just different. Where they're having their dinners is different, and their breakfasts is different. Where they're having the barbecue is different. It's just different. And that's what Venables and the staff is doing. They're trying to lay it in, like, you come to Oklahoma, it's different. It's not like everything else that you've gone to where everything just kind of runs together. And the kids are getting tired by the time they get to this visit, right? Like, they're ready to end all the official visits. They're having fun, but they're tired of traveling. They're tired of their weekend being just chalked up with everything. So it's one of those deals where if you're Oklahoma, you win the day by being different and making it more exciting. And then next thing you know, that's what that kid remembers when it comes time for a decision a couple weeks later. So, and that's been their plan all along. And that's why they've been so successful with the Champion Barbecue for years. The Champion Barbecue, Parker, would you agree with this? It has set the tone nationally in recruiting for years. Oklahoma's kind of been progressive and ahead of the curve on a lot of things with that barbecue. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, brought to you by Ollipop. If you're not drinking Ollipop, they do have a ton of flavors for you guys.
14 of them, to be exact.
Yeah. And it is healthy, minimal sugar, if any at all, in there. So if you're wanting a nice fizzy taste with your dinner, that is the go-to if you're not looking to make it really thick with sugar or sweet tea, which I'm a sweet tea guy. But subbing in Ollipop,
I love me some sweet tea too, man.
it's worth it. It's worth it. So, yeah. Parker, you want to finish out that and kind of give the spiel on how they can get 20% off and all that type of stuff?
Yeah. Promo code CHAMPU20 if you want to order online, or you can go pick them up in stores at Walmart, Sprouts, Whole Foods, and Target. Those are their Oklahoma retail partners. Love this stuff. I've been drinking it since long before we entered into this partnership with Ollipop. It is the best soda alternative on the market without question. And my favorite thing about Ollipop, and the reason why I enjoy promoting it to all of you, is because it's a soda that A, tastes like a soda, and B, has legitimate health benefits. This stuff is good for you. As astonishing as it may be to take that first sip and feel like you're just drinking a regular soda, no, this stuff is good for you and has tangible health benefits, prebiotics to support digestive health. It is the whole 9 yards in a soda can, and they've got a flavor for you. Whatever your soda proclivity is, whether you enjoy cola or cream soda or root beer, they got a really, really good grape soda. Really good. And I'm not a grape soda guy, but theirs is fantastic. Whatever the case, there's an Ollipop flavor for you. Check them out at drinkollipop.com. Promo code is ChampU20 if you want to take 20% off your online order.
Mm-hmm. All right. Real quickly, the swag that I'm wearing, for those everybody's asking, this is a cardigan because everybody always wants me to bring back the cardigan. So I brought it back for this one, and an OU Insider t-shirt that I have on with a necklace that my son got me last year for Father's Day. Or I can't remember what it was for, but he got it to me at like one of his little school stores, and he spent his own money for it. So I wear it every day just because my youngest boy got it for me. So there you go, in the backwards Rivals hat. Anyways, all right, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, brought to you by Ollipop. If you're not on OU Insider, now is the time. The official visits are going to take place. We're going to have loads and loads of information this weekend for you guys. There's 14 official visitors. Next weekend, there's going to be 20 plus on campus for the Champion Barbecue, and we're going to have that covered for you. We're going to have the list out for you guys. We're going to have all the visits went this weekend between June 9 through 11. So you need to be on OU Insider right now. It is going to be worth it. We promise you. We will stay ahead of the curve one way or the other. Parker and I have a lot of connections. We're going to use those connections this weekend to make sure you guys stay informed. Anyways, yeah, also, if you're not part of this YouTube channel, subscribe. That way you get notifications every time a new show loads up, whether it's one of us talking about recruiting, whether it's Quick Slant talking about team, or some sort of Oklahoma athletic event with Jesse Crittenton, whether it's a podcast, which is going to happen, by the way. This week, we are going to have a new podcast for you guys. Probably somewhere Monday. We'll have the first podcast up in a long time because 24/7 decided they wanted to hold on to a podcast that I created back on December 31st, 2015. And they are still fighting that battle to hold it as much as they can because we had so many people that listened and subscribed to that, and they didn't want to give it up when we left. I'll throw them under the bus. I really don't give a crap. They are trying to screw us. Am I speaking truth, Parker?
Lie detector shows no lies.
Okay, then. Okay. And it has nothing to do with the people that filled in for us now because they're not in the middle of it. This is the higher ups at 24/7. So yeah, we're just going to start our own new podcast. It's still going to be called Under the Visor. We're just going to start a new RSS feed. Let them keep that RSS feed if that's really that big a deal for them, whatever. And we're going to keep rolling because we want to make sure we have everything for you guys and make sure that you guys have all the content you deserve as Oklahoma fans and followers of us. So that is how it's going to take place. But yes, once again, please go subscribe to OU Insider and make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel because it's going to be worth it over the next 2 months, next 7 months, because football season's rolling right around after right after official visit season, and then right after commit season in July. Guess what happens? Fall camp. So football season will be right around the corner as well, and it is going to be worth it to be on OU Insider and to be following us right here on this YouTube channel. All right, for Parker Thune, for Spencer Forsythe on the board, my name is Brandon Drumm. Thank you guys so much. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, brought to you by Ollipop. You guys have a blessed night.